The 7th of May, 1899, Volume 2, Purity of Intention in Operating. While I was doing my meditation during the day, Jesus kept making himself seen near me and told me, "My person is surrounded by all the works that souls do as by a garment, and the more purity of intention and intensity of love they have, the more splendor they give me, and I will give them more glory, so much so that on the day of judgment I will show them to the whole world, to let the whole world know how my children have honoured me and how I honour them." Assuming a more afflicted air, he added, "My daughter, what will happen to so many works, even good, done without purity of intention, out of habit and self-interest? What shame will not fall upon them on the day of judgment in seeing so many works, good in themselves, but made rotten by their intention, such that their very actions, instead of rendering honour to them, as they would to many others, will give them shame. In fact, I do not look at the greatness of the works, but at the intention with which they are done. Here is all my attention." Jesus kept silent for a little while, and I kept thinking about the words he'd spoken to me while I was meditating within my mind, especially on the purity of intention, and on the fact that when creatures do good, they must disappear, making the creature one with the Lord himself, as if creatures did not exist. Then Jesus continued, saying to me, "Yet it is so. See, my heart is so very large, but the door is very narrow. No one can fill the void of this heart, but souls who are detached, naked, and simple. In fact, as you see, since the door is small, any hindrance, even the slightest, that is, a shadow of attachment, an intention which is not upright, a work done without the purpose of pleasing me, prevents them from entering to delight in my heart. Much love of neighbour enters my heart, but it must be so united to mine as to form one single love, in such a way that one cannot be distinguished from the other. But as for the love of neighbour which is not transformed into my love, I do not look at it as something that belongs to me." End of the reading. The 7th of May, 1906, Volume 7, Jesus does not want to go out of the interior of Louisa. This morning, after I received communion, I saw Blessed Jesus in my interior, and I said to him, "My beloved, come out from inside, come outside, that I may clasp you, kiss you, and speak with you." And he, making a sign with his hand, told me, "My daughter, I do not want to come out. I am well within you, because if I go out of your humanity, a humanity which contains tenderness, compassion, weakness, concern, it would be as if I went out of my living humanity. In fact, since you occupy my same office as victim, I should make you feel the weight of the pains of others, and therefore spare them. I will go out, yes, but not from within you, rather from within God without a humanity, and my justice will make its course as appropriate to chastise the creatures." And it seemed he would go deeper and deeper inside. I repeated to him, "Lord, come out, spare your children, your very members, your images." And he, making a sign with his hand, repeated, "I am not coming out, I am not coming out." He repeated this quite a few times, and he communicated to me many things about what humanity contains, but I am unable to say them. I have them in my mind, but I cannot express them with words. I would rather have not written this, but obedience did not want it. Fiat, always fiat. End of the reading. The 7th of May, 1918, Volume 12. The divine will grinds what is human. Continuing in my usual state, my sweet Jesus told me, "My daughter, if for a few days you do not see me as usual, do not afflict yourself. Evils will increase. Heaven and earth will unite in order to strike man. And I do not want to afflict you by making you see so many evils." And I, my Jesus, the greatest pain for me is being deprived of you. It is death without dying, pain indescribable and without end. Jesus, Jesus, what are you saying? Me without you, without life? Mine, Jesus, don't say this to me anymore. And Jesus added, "My daughter, do not become alarmed. I did not tell you that I will not come at all, but not often. And I told you before so as not to make you worry. My will compensate for everything, because in my will the human is ground down, and I extract the flower, the fruit, the crafting of my will, and I place it together with me to have a communal life. So the human, like bran, becomes separated outside. Therefore let the machine of my will grind you thoroughly, so that nothing human may remain in you." End of the reading. The 7th of May, 1933, Volume 32. The will, symbol of the breath that either inflames or smothers. The divine will, bearer of its acts in the act of the creature. My abandonment in the divine volition continues, and many times my poor mind remains under the empire of two currents, that is, the great good of the divine will that elevates the soul over everything and carries her even into the arms of her dear celestial Father, where all is divine joy, feast and smiles, in which the soul inebriated forgets everything, the earth, the miseries, because in the divine will one cannot have even the memory of evil, otherwise the happiness would not be full. And in the other current, the abyss of the human volition that casts the soul into all miseries and brings her as into the arms of the demon, such that he tyrannizes her as he pleases. But while I thought this, my sovereign Jesus, making himself felt near me, told me, "My blessed daughter, as the soul enters into my volition, it, with its empire, tells her, 'Forget everything, even the house of your Mother Earth. Here one lives in heaven, nor is there a place for miseries and for unhappiness. My light destroys everything, and the evils transform into good.' You must know that the will is the symbol of the breath that has the virtue of inflaming or extinguishing. If the will is inflaming, blowing over a little spark, it can inflame a great fire. If then it is extinguishing, blowing on it takes away its life and reduces it to ashes. Such is the human will. If it wants my breath in all its acts, my will, with its power, animates this breath, and her little acts, as little sparks, change into flames. And as she repeats the acts, so it repeats the breath, in a way as to form of the little creature all one flame of light of divine will. On the other hand, if she wants to do her will, as she does it, she blows and smothers everything, and she remains in a profound night, without even some little sparks of good. In fact, one who lives in my will acquires light by nature, and in all her acts she sees light, and they speak to her of light. On the other hand, one who does her own acquires darknesses and night by nature, and darkness pours from all her acts that speak to her of miseries, of apprehensions, of fears that render life unbearable. So my mind continued to think about the divine will, and I felt it all attentive inside and outside of me, so much so that it wanted to give me everything and do everything together with me. And my sweet Jesus added, Little daughter of my will, you must know that as the soul decides to live in my will, so much is its love toward her that as she gets ready to do an act, so my fiat offers its act in that act in a way that the human will remains as field and my act as life. In fact, as she palpitates, it offers its divine heartbeat. As she breathes, it offers its breath. As she is about to speak, it offers its word in the voice of the creature. As she thinks, it offers its thought. And so if she works, if she walks, it offers its motion and its steps. Therefore, my divine will is the bearer of its acts in the acts of the creature. This is the reason for its incessant love, its untiring attentions, because it wants to form all its life for as much as it is possible for a creature. It wants to find in her its sanctity, its heartbeat, its breath, its word, and so on. And how can the divine will find it if she does not live and it offer it continuously? Therefore, such identification passes between the divine will and the creature who wants to live in it, and they render themselves inseparable from one another. Nor would my volition tolerate the least separation in one who lends herself to let it form its life. So be attentive and let your flight be continuous in my divine will. End of the reading. There are no more readings today.